Jervis is a super rare rarity destroyer from the Royal Navy, and is the flotilla leader of the J class of destroyer. She originally released during the Pledge of the Radiant Court event, but is now available through light construction or the Pledge of the Radiant Court archive. Jervis was launched from the Hawthorne Leslie and Company shipyard on the 9th of September 1938, commissioned on the 8th of May 1939, decommissioned in May 1946, and was sold for scrap in 1954. Jervis did the usual tasks a British destroyer did in the Second World War. Here are her more interesting exploits. Served under then-Captain Philip Mack. Collided with SS Tor after searching for SS City of Flint in early 1940. Assisted in the sinking of RN Zara on the 29th of March 1941, who was trying to recover her sister ship, RN Pola, which was disabled by Royal Navy torpedoes. The crew of the Jervis boarded Pola to evacuate its wounded, with HMS Nubian sinking Pola. Was damaged by an Italian human torpedo in 1941. Carried out fire support missions during D-Day for Gold Beach. And is also known as Lucky Jervis due to losing none of her crew during her 5.5 years of service and 13 major actions. A popular example was when she and her sister ship, Janus, were hit by glider bombs during Anzio. Janus's magazine exploded and sank, with Jervis only having her bow blown off. In her character art drawn by NGJ, Jervis wears an open-chested white dress with pleated ends, a black underneath dress, a ruffled top with black bow that has a golden bell around her neck, large bow around her midsection, white arm gloves with black cuffs, white stockings, a white and gold nurse hat, and black high-heeled shoes. Her rigging consists of a gold and white javelin with gold and white hull that she sits on, a double-barreled naval cannon to her right, 2 quintuple torpedo launchers to her sides, and a white and gold staff with IV bags hanging off of it, held in her left hand. Behind her is a large white figure with blindfold, multiple doves flying around her, and 4 wings spreading from her back. In her voice lines, voiced by Miyuki Sato, who also voices Yu Ri in Kingdom, Halbet Shavor in Black Clover, Patia in Dragalia Lost, Kuro in Sekiro, Angie in Resident Evil Village, Senna in Xenoblade Chronicles 3, and Bernice in Unicorn Overlord, Jervis is often caring for others.
ロイヤル所属 J 級駆逐艦のジャービスです。怪我人を助けることが役目です。至って健康そうな指揮官には私の出番も当分来ないでしょう。これにて失礼します。ジェーナスには傷ついてほしくありません。あの子をしっかり守ってあげてください。そして、あの子の優しさに余計なことを考えないでください。怪我人はいませんか？簡単な手当てなら私にお任せください。お帰りなさ。かすり傷ができていますね。怪我にも気づいていないなんて不用心な。今処置するので、じっとしていてください。目が書類と近すぎですよ。目に良くないので、姿勢を正しくしましょう。ジェーナス、何変なことを言って。いえ、別に。あの子はとにかく優しいので、時々突っ走ってしまうところがありますから。困るというか。手を見せてください。大丈夫。なんともないですね。
At level 125 with max affinity and enhancements, Jervis has 2087 HP, 120 firepower, 477 torpedo, 204 AA, 232 reload, 271 evasion, light armor, 43 speed, 231 accuracy, 92 luck, 247 anti-sub, and consumes 10 oil. Jervis has 2 skills and an all-out assault, with focus on buffing herself and others. Jervis's first skill, Please Take Care, at level 10, has Jervis buff her own firepower and anti-sub by plus 10%. 20 seconds after the battle starts, she restores 5% of the max HP to all Vanguard ships. Also when the battle starts, if there are 3 or more Royal Navy ships in the same fleet as Jervis, all Royal Navy destroyers gain plus 10% anti-sub, firepower, and torpedo. Her second skill, Lucky Jervis, at level 10, decreases the damage that Jervis takes from aircraft by minus 10%. When the battle starts, and if the Vanguard only consists of destroyers or light cruisers, Jervis gains plus 10% torpedo and decreases the torpedo damage she takes by minus 20%. Again, when the battle starts, if there are 3 ships afloat in the Vanguard and Jervis is in the frontmost or tank position, whenever Jervis takes damage, there is a 15% chance to increase her evasion by plus 30% for 10 seconds. There is a 20-second cooldown between procs of this evasion buff. The recommended equipment for Jervis is the twin 100mm Type 98 Kai HAGM to proc her all-out assault more often, 533mm improved quad magnetic torpedo mount for great homing torpedoes, twin 57mm L60 Bofors MLA 1951 for the best Vanguard Fleet AA gun, repair toolkit for passive healing, J-Class Crown for more survivability and dealing 10% more damage against non-Royal Navy enemies, and the dual swords for buff to firepower and evasion. Jervis is mainly built to be the tank of the Vanguard fleet due to her skills, with her being best placed into a Royal Navy-centric fleet to get the most out of these skills. Her S1 passively heals her and all the Vanguard fleet for 5% of their max HP, albeit every 20 seconds, with her S2 making her more of an evasion tank when she's in the tanking position of the Vanguard. Both skills give smaller buffs that do stack up to be semi-decent, mainly increasing her anti-sub, torpedo, and firepower. However, the buff that she shares with the fleet from her S1 only affects her and other Royal Navy destroyers. Not really recommended to have a Vanguard of only destroyers due to how comparatively flimsy they are to light and heavy cruisers. The evasion buff she gets from her S2 is only applicable when there are 3 ships in the Vanguard, so if you lose one, you'll be shit out of luck. Not to mention, it's also a 15% chance to proc on top of that. There's also the other buff to her torpedo stat and taking less damage from torpedoes in her S2, which also requires only destroyers or light cruisers in the Vanguard. Overall, Jervis is a decent addition to fleets as an evasion tank because of her healing and her evasion boost, but you'll have to be wary of how often her healing and her evasion boost proc, or else you're going to be caught with your pants down. High priority to raise. Thank you for watching. Please follow my Twitter and Blue Sky for updates, and please check out my other Arknights and Girls Frontline videos as well.